Whatever. The swamp bubbled and popped as Babbly watched. It smelled foul. Babbly has always just assumed that age made one smell gross. He was beginning to realize that the reason Grandpa smelled so bad was all because the time he spent here.
Come on, boy. We won't catch a thing if you dawdle the way you are. The early bird gets the worm. Hoo-hoo!
Aren't we after fish?
It's an expression.
It was also past midday when we set out.
Oh, don't trip over tiny details like that, Bobby. Today, we shall lure the greatest catch of all. Woo! The whaleboat!
The man was beyond senile. Babby always, looked into the muck of the swamp water and noted how shallow it was. He knew what a whale was. He had seen them off the coast of the Spires. He knew one could never live in water like this, bold or otherwise. He sighed as he trudged after the darling old bird.
Today's the day! Ooh, I can smell it on the wind!
Leanna struggled to pull her hands free of the rigging as Solus complained. Her white knuckle grip seemed to have cemented during the descent. Anne seemed none the worse for wear. His difficulties with getting the ship to properly fly instead of plummeting towards certain death had seemed a little more concern to him than picking a beverage to accompany breakfast. Speaking of which, she had lost hers. She was thankful that it had flown outward during the death spiral and splattered neither her nor the spotless deck.
Ho ho, that was a bit of fun, weren't it? Now we've got to dip into the pontoon of that there fog bank and parry the wind for our course.
Leanna was convinced now, if she hadn't been before, that the one-to-be pirate had little to no idea what he was saying.
Do you have any idea where we're going, Anne?
Ha 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 ha! Nary a clue, lass. We're going to sortie in low and scout out for your ruins. Do it slow, like, lest we scuttle ourselves against them.
Leanna nodded. She took a moment to examine the ship. She could feel the magic bound to the hull. Some sort of reinforcement, she guessed, and another spell. The second was likely whatever let it fly. A modification of the spell that was supposed to be once used to grant flight to rooms? Leanna knew a similar spell fueled the flight of the island, but it had never been something she had particularly researched. She regretted that now. The ship shifted hard as the pirate turned the wheel, making them lower. She stumbled before catching herself on the railing. The pirate captain stood as steady as a stone. She felt out, trying a fraction of the magic on him, trying to identify what kept him so steady. She couldn't recognize a single aspect of the spell. Spiraling stars? Had the man been developing his own magic? Guilt struck her. He was more than half her age, though he didn't look like it. And he apparently had a better grasp of magic than she did if he was already developing new spells. Her careful and intimately memorized catalog of every known spell seemed useless before someone who had created their own.
This is going to be quite the rocky ducking, lass.
Huh?
Leanna didn't have a chance to fully digest the statement when the ship lurched out from beneath her, abruptly stopping while she did not. Her arms cracked sharply against the bow as she tumbled over it. Grandpa stock still. He had found a tree and, upon declaring the location perfect for fishing, cast his line. The hook now hung, free of any form of bait, 20 feet in the air, dangled from a branch. It had been there for at least 2 hours. Grandpa's pale eyes stared up at the bob with expectation on his face, the rod happily held with one garl foot. Babbly could only sigh and watch.
How long do you think?
Bobby fidgeted.
Are you hungry?
Babbly finished weakly.
I said
And so he sat beside the old bird, crossing his wings moodily.
don't fidget so, little one. Else we'll never get a bite.
It was sad to see such a great bird descend so far into senility. Watching over him was the least Bobby could do for the elder. It didn't mean he was going to enjoy it, though. Grandpa was the reason that the harpies had survived following the rupture. Of course, Babbly hadn't been there. His dads were, though. He had let out a long sigh. Grandpa shot him a look. Babbly looked away as he watched the fog as it curled, his mind playing at shapes in his mind, in the mist. Well, I was gonna say mind. It works. For a moment, he swore he saw a form running through him, when the crack of a branch turned his head to Grandpa's tree. He caught only a glimpse as an immersed shape glided like a whale between the waves and the sea of frogs. The branch from... Sorry, their face expression. The branch from which the lures had hung was gone. The lures snared on whatever had passed. The old bird's line spun wildly as it extended further and further, a beaming smile of delight playing across Grandpa's face. The old bird braced himself, ready to pull hard on the uncoiling line. Babbly stared in horror as the line unwound almost to the spool as he stepped forward. He snatched the rod from the elder's hands and barely tossed it aside before the lure went taut and the rod whipped away into the swirling mists of the swamp.
No! Now we have to go find my rod. Might have to catch the whaleboat by hand.
What was that?
The whaleboat. It's a type of towboat. It soars through the skies.
He seemed troubled by a moment.
Though I can't remember what a towboat is. I just know that I need the scales of a whaleboat for my tea. I need to clear my head, boy.
The old bird began to waddle off after his wad, his feathers trailing into the mud. Babbly watched, wide-eyed, as the elder walked. Then, with a resigned sigh, he followed. As the world had tumbled, she swore that the pirate had barely flinched during the impact, still gripping the mast. Tearing herself free of the muddy pool that she had landed in, she looked down at her filthy clothes.
You still breathing, lass?
Has she just said I?
Whoop.
Heavy boots struck the ground beside her as she scraped at the mud which clung to her face and clothes.
I be having a change of clothes, if you be needing it.
Leanna imagined herself in the pirate costume the captain wore.
No, that's alright.
She would deal with the mud for now.
Is there a reason you crashed the ship?
Aye. It'd be my first time taking her skyward.
Leanna considered snapping at him for bringing her on the ship maiden voyage, but considering she had practically begged him to take her, she thought better of it.
Is it still, skyworthy?
Probably aye. Need to give her a glance over the bilge to make sure her hull tain't breached. But aye, we'll be skyward again in no time.
Good. I think.
She still wasn't sure if he was using half of the words correctly.
If you're going to check the ship, I think I'll go out and scout around a bit. See if I can find something to point us in the right direction.
Leanna reached into the pouches at her side. Ginger, cayenne, ginkgo, the herbs were dry and preserved, but as she inhaled, she still drew power from them. She inhaled their essence a second time, an advanced technique. She wondered if the pirate could do it, and then let the gray dust of their remains fall from her open palm. It took a few moments for the spell to take effect. The dark of the thick fog bank grew brighter, and not that it aided invisibility, but her ears began to pick up movement, though distant. The air was moist, and the smell and taste were exactly what one might expect in a swamp. Like this, the staleness leaving a foul flavor on her tongue.
I'll be back.
Brushing off as much of the remains mud as she could, she stepped into the soupy fog and was gone. Anne scratched at his beard, shrugging, and made a quick check. His ship. Made a quick check. Quick check. A tune began to rattle in his head. Dare he sing it? Since birth he had heard nothing but tales of horrors that lived beneath the sky, the terrors that stalked the land below.
Ah, bugger it. Oh, I once knew a lass, and her name was Ash, and her skin was fair and pale. And though she nearly had a care from her toes to her hair, she's the hero of this tale.
The words came to him on a whim, each line writing itself as his song. Of course, he didn't know anyone named Ash, but it made for a jaunty tune.
On her hand was a mark, in her heart was a spark, a phoenix set to flame.
Alright, I see what you did there.
But her heart wasn't true, she confessed to a prude, and her life felt rather lame. Sally ho, here we go, adventure is for thee. Sally ho, here we go, a love you won't know, you see.
The crackle of a branch cut his song short as he turned around. Something darkened the edge of the fog, and what looked like an array of jewels reflected the dim light from the ship's ladder.
Huh. Well, would you look at that?
The darkness surged forward. Leanna was glad she had at least worn good boots. But between the mug and the fact that she had failed to wear proper exploration gear, she was feeling a great deal of discomfort. She had been marking her path with firefly lights, dandelions, sunflower seeds, and a bunch of rose-colored to, color them red, and trying her best to leave them at consistent intervals. She couldn't quite see how many she had left in her wake, but it had easily been half an hour since she's been walking. She had to tell herself more than once that she would walk just a single additional interval and then head back. But then that had been easily 40 intervals ago. The alien-looking Flora kept watching her eye, and she would crouch down to record it in her journal. She did so again, gently running her fingers down the plant long leaves to feel their texture. Biting the end of her pencil, she thought for a moment before writing.
New plant named Cat Scratches. Has a faintly spicy undertone, waxy exterior.
The small owl hopped off her shoulder and onto the roots of a tree which were peeking out from beneath the shadow pool. His eyes were wide and he cooed instantly.
You want to pick something for me?
Solus let out an excited purr. A wide array of plants were growing where Solus was dancing. Leanna saw a puff of orange flowers, luminescent mushroom that looked like it had bred with a jellyfish, and a few springs of frog farts and cat scratches.
Okay, well, let's see. Definitely the frog farts.
Upon retrieval of the herbs, Solus hopped back to her, and she helped them put the herbs into one of her mini pouches for the purpose.
Very nice.
The witch grinned before turning back to her exploration. Liana told herself she should head back, but something, an instinct, drew her forward. Her foot got stuck in another mud pool. She felt especially driven when that happened. With a grunt, she wrenched her foot free. There was something ahead, and she was sure of it. And there it was. As though the fog had shifted slowly to make the reveal, a monolith stone pier rested before her, not half another interval ahead of where she stood.
Wow.
Stolas cooed softly. The stones were freshly cut, neatly too. The edges were practically sharp. The sides and the perpetuous of each level was near steel. These looked like they may have been cut with tools of the old world. Though she conceded with enough care and time the same effort could have been achieved with a simple chisel, she wasn't one to jump to conclusion. Liana brushed a hand against the surface, and all at once felt something alien. Magic so unfamiliar she recoiled. Images of ancient aliens sprung to her mind, but she mentally stumped them out. She refused to even entertain such fancies. A walk up the perimeter of the building took her half as long as it had taken her to find it. It was enormous, and where had such stone been found in the middle of a swamp? She mapped the outside, marking the entrance she had chosen to pass on her first lap before returning to it. A shiver ran through her spine as she stared into the darkness, even her enhanced senses failing to penetrate far.
Don't shy back now, Liana.
She reached into her satchel and withdrew a fistful of dandelions. It was far from the most efficient light spell, but seeing as dandelions could replace any complement insufficient in quality, they were as plentiful as well. Dandelions. She thought it would be better to save her rarer components for more demanding spells. She drew in the magic once again, drawing in twice, inhaling onto her pen, lacking anything else handy. With a guarded breath, she stepped forward. Oh my god. With a guarded breath, she stepped forward into the darkness. Anne never really got a good look at whatever had captured him. Somehow he had felt no fear, as he had been grasped by seeing massive, tiny hands and carried off into the swamp. Anne wondered if his lack of fear was due to his being rather a poor judgment of character or an excellent judge. It has always been so difficult to get a read on other witches. Perhaps he had a knack for swamp monsters? The efficiency with which the creature, or perhaps creatures, carried him was remarkable. Despite the apparent lack of height, he rarely felt any part of him touch the earth, even with the bag. Apparently it was made of lizard skin of some sort, quickly over his head. He could tell they were traveling quickly. The creature or creatures would stop occasionally, however, and through the scales of the bag, Anne could see a faint red glow that floated softly in the air. A high-pitched guttural chittering sounded as a pair of hands let go, and he heard an excitement clapping as though the creature was trying to catch the light.
Do ye be liking them?
More of the guttural chittering seemed there were several creatures.
It be magic.
Glittering and clickering again.
Magic.
Magics.
Anne started. Did the creatures understand?
Do ye be wanting magic?
Magics.
I think I can be helping ye there.
The further she got inside, the more Liana realized how immense the complex was. The inside grew larger, each shed of stone seeming to pull away from her, until the light she cast was no more than a tiny pool of light beneath her feet, and the walls beyond her pin's reach. Her footsteps echoed until she could tell she was in an enormous chamber. Liana needed to see more. She reached inside her pouch, groping for more materials for a stronger light spell. Something scraped against the stone. Something immense. Liana shifted her hands, drawing the herbs for more effective magic.
Who are you? I had thought all the humans were dead. Or at least weren't human anymore.
Slowly it came to view. Liana's jaw dropped in recognition. It was a dinosaur skull.
How?
The creature sniffed the air.
Such an array of plants. A witch. I had thought the humans had burnt and drowned your kind into extinction, long before I had perished.
Stolas made a soft noise.
How?
Liana cursed herself for now monosyllabic vocabulary.
Who are you? What are you?
Necromancy. Or a flavor of it. It's a rather consistent magic, you know, across many worlds. As for the who, I am what you might call a mother. I was still for a long time, and it will not be long before I am still once more. My clutch will be alone, and industrious as they are, they know nothing of the world.
I'm starting to get the impression I'm in the same boat.
Liana drew in a breath of the magic surrounding her. She could taste the necromancy the creature spoke of. Spiraling stars? What kind of magic or spell could produce something like that? The creature shifted, agitated.
Tell me, witch, how old are you?
122. Almost exactly.
Then you were here when the world awakened once more. When the magics that animated my bones to protect my clutch stirred, and they too began to develop for the first time in millennia.
Yes, I was there. I was there when it happened. I was barely done being a student. It was my first job, a researcher for a prestigious lab. Our work was supposed to give us access to magic beyond anything any witch could harness at the time. I was in a hazard suit, directly beside the machinery, activating spells and devices at the command of my seniors. I was there when it happened. I was the one who opened the rupture.
Why has she confessed to that?
Then I thank you, witch. You gave my children a life they could not have had in the world before.
And what of the lives lost?
Death comes for us all. Even me. Even now.
That's it? Just people die? All those people dead because of me.
You cannot save the lives lost to the rupture, as you call it. So I ask you, instead, to consider the lives you can save now. I can sense it in you. A truly awesome power. Do you choose to hide that flame, in penance of how you obtained it? Or do you choose to protect this world you've created?
I can't... I mean, I don't even know where to begin.
I am afraid I can offer you no guidance there. My time is over. Your presence hastening the end of my spell. Please, help my children to live in your world. One day, they will help you to live in it as well.
Without another word, the skull clattered to the ground, and a cacophony of bones surrounded it as an entire skeleton collapsed. Liana stepped forward, casting her meager light over the still form. Though the head had been familiar, that of a dinosaur, Every other bone seemed an alien to her. As the light flickered, she could see enormous wings.
Spiraling stars.
Ship! Raka! Ship!
I told you it'd be faster to fly.
Several dozen of the oversized lizard clung to every part of the ship. He wondered exactly how many there were. They chittered excitedly and occasionally shouted in unison, ship, or once in a while, boat.
Magic!
The one who had spoken first and another rather colorful companion stood at Anne's side, waving their arms wildly as the ship gently curved through the air. Anne was already getting a hang of controlling the ship and found himself banking gently left and right to help control his speed with the sails. The expediency. Stomachache. The expediency, which the creature seemed to pick up his language, delight Anne. The fuck? Silently, he wondered if he could recruit them as crew. The wide, colorful one set up a gout of flame, nearly catching the sails.
Bugger me! Don't be doing that, laddies. Or ladies. I reckon I can't quite tell.
They seemed to ignore him, as all at once flames erupted in every direction, thankfully away from the ship. They lit the night and burned away the fog, revealing the enormous juggernaut long before Anne needed to crash to avoid it.
Ye be quite handy to have around. How ye feel about becoming me mates?
Mats!
Anne pulled the ship in low, barely scraping the mud as he came in close and still the ship.
Mats! Mats!
The three seemed to be talking. A parade followed Anne as he leapt off the ship and began to circle the structure, clearly not the road he had expected, and found the entrance. A thin set of footprint led inside. He reached to the cutlass at his side. He turned to find the critters wielding everything from sticks to long leaves in imitation of him. Anne shrugged and led the men inside.
So tell me, ickle wee ones, is this place you're doing?
He gestured to the creature. He gestured to the structure as he began to sneak silently inside.
Mats! Raka! Mats!
Ah, so this be your den? I expect my companion to be inside. I hope she didn't pick no trouble with your mates.
Mutties!
Ye be getting it, ya little rapscallion.
Rascallion.
Raskakikallon!
Eh, close enough.
Anne dared not to light a torch, lest he reveal the approach of himself and his companions, a dangerous prospect considering he had no idea what was inside. He could likely hold his own, but his companions seemed like children, and he wasn't the type to risk children. It took him a few minutes of carefully sneaking to come upon the light in the middle of the enormous room, revealing the bones of a massive winged beast and the distraught figure of Liana.
Haha, I found me matey me hearties.
My hearties. My tears.
Me hearties.
Close enough.
My beast.
Anne?
She sounded as distraught as she looked, and her eyes mirrored the moon.
Are ye okay, lass? What be that beast?
The tiny creatures looked past him, staring not at Liana, but the bones beneath her. They chittered through Anne could pick up that they were repeating the same noise.
Karaka-chikaka-chiki?
All the creatures turned to him. It seemed to ask, looking at him.
How could I say no? Karajakis.
The creatures turned to Liana, who was halfway to writing a new entry in her journal.
I think I'm supposed to be their Kara Kachi Kachi, Anne.
Ha! Somehow I don't think ye be the mothering type, lass.
What, and you are?
Oh, aye.
Oh, because you found them first? Well, we could take care of both of them. Why not? The two stared at each other, only turning when a pair of footsteps began making their way, echoing through the enormous chamber.
Come, my boy. The great whale boat lies within.
Grandfather, they're...
The voices stopped abruptly as Anne and Liana found themselves face to face with the odd feather beings.
Well, I'll be. Looks like someone already caught the whale boat. And stripped him neat as you please, too. Ooh, a pity. A pity. Well, come on, Bobby. No time to gawk. Time to head home.
But Grandfather, what are all these?
Ooh, doesn't matter. Off we go.
With the old bird-like creature trotted back out the way he had come. The younger creature stared. His eyes were locked on Anne, then Lana, and finally the lizards for a full minute before a voice from outside called.
Best be following me if you don't want to be lost in this fog. Woo-hoo.
With a reluctant turn, the young harpy scampered away.
Anne, do you know what this means?
Oh, aye. It means I can recruit a whole menagerie to crew me ship. Not merely all the baby beasts.
You know what?